mode.
Hi, my name is Mike Lau. I'm a therapist at Health Directions, and I'd like to spend some time today talking to you about anger management. Let me go ahead and bring up the slideshow. First of all, what is anger? Anger is completely normal. Everybody is going to experience anger in their life at some level during many different situations. Um, Typically, anger is going to be a healthy emotion, a healthy reaction to a certain situation. Um, Anger is obviously a human emotion that everybody has. The thing with anger is when it gets out of control and it starts to turn destructive, that's when it can lead to problems. Um, It can lead to problems at work. It can lead to problems in your home life. It can lead to problems in your school environment, in your social environment, as well as personal relationships, and your overall quality of life can suffer if it gets out of control and starts to turn destructive. Because anger can be a very unpredictable and a very powerful emotion. Um, Anger is an emotional state, and it's going to vary from intensity, from mild to intense. Okay, and like I said, everybody is going to experience anger at some level, at some intensity. Again, usually from mild anger to intense anger. It's often accompanied by biological changes, which may come in the form of an increase in your individual heart rate, your blood pressure, as well as an increase in your energy, your hormones, your adrenaline, and noradrenaline, which is a neurotransmitter specifically in the brain, a chemical neurotransmitter in the brain, which also affects other emotions. Anger can be caused by both internal and external events. Expressing anger. As I said, anger is going to be a very normal, healthy human emotion. Um, it's when individuals are unable to express that anger that it can be destructive and it can lead to problems. Again, a certain amount of anger is going to be very necessary to survival. It's out of natural adaptive. If it's a natural adaptive response to everyday threats that we experience. When dealing with angry feelings, both conscious processes and unconscious processes are used. Okay, so there are times when we're completely aware of what's making us angry. There's other times that we may not be aware of what's making us angry. There are three main approaches um, that are used in terms of expressing our anger and dealing with our anger. One is expressing anger, one is suppressing anger, and the third is calming ourselves. The different approaches, let me talk a little bit more specifically about the three different approaches. Expressing anger. Expressing anger in a non-assertive, non-aggressive manner is probably the most healthiest way to express anger, but it's also probably the most difficult for individuals. Suppressing anger and then converting or redirecting anger happens when you hold your anger in, stop thinking about it, and you try to focus on something positive. You're suppressing that anger, meaning you're delaying the inevitable. That anger is still going to be there, but you're just putting it aside for the moment. Calming yourself, this means not just controlling your outward behavior or what other people might see as your reaction to that anger, but also controlling your own internal responses, how you're dealing with the emotional aspects of the anger, both psychological and both physiological responses. What do we do in terms of managing our anger? Well, there's a number of different things that we can do. We can take time out, or take a time out to just calm ourselves down, back away from what's causing our anger. Once we've calmed down, you can express your anger. Again, it's completely normal to experience anger. It's a healthy emotion. It's a human emotion. It's also a healthy avenue to express anger. Get exercise. That will often decrease our level of anger. We want to try to calm ourselves down and think before we speak when we're in the middle of experiencing anger. We want to try to identify possible solutions to what's causing our anger. We want to try to stick with I statements, kind of own our own anger, own our emotions. We don't want to hold a grudge. So again, we want to kind of think about what we're angry about, think about who we're angry about, try not to hold that anger in, let it fester inside of us. Humor is also a great release to the anger or the tension that we may feel. We can practice relaxation skills, which will often decrease our anger, simply counting to 10 when we're feeling anger coming on. We also know when to seek help. Again, when anger can get out of control and it turns destructive, it can lead to problems in your personal life, your employment status, your social environment, your school environment. We need to know when our anger is going to get out of control, when we can't stop that anger and we can't stop those emotions, and when we need to ask somebody for help. And that can be a very difficult thing because sometimes we just don't know when that anger is getting out of control. But one kind of red flag to look for is that anger, are those negative emotions, what we're experiencing day in and day out, are they getting out of control? Are they affecting our day-to-day functioning? That's a very brief kind of summary of anger management. Again, what I tried to do for you is define what anger is. Again, it's a completely normal, very healthy human emotion. Understand that it can get out of control for people. It can affect your quality of life, and that may be at the point where you seek professional help to try to deal with your anger. It can cause both internal reactions, physiological reactions in your body, and external reactions. Your behavior can get out of control. I talked about some different tips in terms of kind of taming your anger or decreasing your level of anger, dealing with the anger, taking time out, getting some exercise, thinking before you speak. Try to use humor to release tension. Practicing relaxation skills. I'd like to thank you for joining me in this webinar today. For more information or to schedule an appointment at Health Directions, you can call area code 815-224-1610. If you have any questions about today's webinar, you can send an email to communications@ncdhs.org. Or if you want more information about this webinar or some of the other webinars that we have available on our Health Directions website, you can go to www.healthdirectionsonline.org. Thank you.